ask you to make sure that every palm branch that has leaves is currently in a hand. If we have to move or walk around to get one, that's okay. The shepherds leave the sheep to find the one who is lost. Wonderful. But I want to have nobody has two. So if you have two, share with someone who looks like they could use a palm. Wonderful. I'm going to invite you, so if you're holding one, that's wonderful. Look at it. If not, look at someone by you who is holding one. And pay attention to the leaves. And I want you to think about these leaves as I share a couple stories with you. And I'm going to think about one leaf in particular for each story. I want to share first that I used to be one of the hardest people in the world, in my opinion, to preach to. As someone who went to seminary right out of college at 22 and started preaching when I was 20 and then more in 21 on a pulpit supply before going to seminary, I ran into the danger that many of us run into, but especially I think as early 20-year-olds, as thinking that we know enough or that we know more than other people do. And when I would sit and listen to other people preach and go to other worship services, I couldn't help but think, well, that's not how I would do it. I would have talked about it a different way. I think I have a better illustration than the one that he used or the one that she used. I was not very good at going to church and worshiping. I was much better at leading than sitting in the pew. And it was through times and conversations, me saying, I'm going to worship service, I'm just not getting anything out of it. That conversations with some good friends, and through seminary, realized that it wasn't the problem of who was preaching or the church service. The problem was me. The problem was what I was coming in closed off, or I was already coming in thinking, what would I do differently? I'm still not where I need to be or where I would like to be for that, but I'm a lot better than I was 15 years ago, for sure. But that's something that I always have to be mindful of for the few opportunities I get to worship somewhere else, whether it's at presbytery or synod or times on vacation or continuing education or what have you. And I'm also mindful that I'm going to the Festival of Homiletics. Homiletics is the study of preaching in Atlanta here in about a month, where I'm going to be listening to some of the world's best preachers. So I'll be very mindful to kind of check myself, so to speak, at the door. So that's what I'm thinking of, something that stops me. Something else that sometimes can prohibit me from being worshipful in a worship space is thinking I already know what the story is. Raise your hand if you have heard the Palm Sunday story before this morning. Did anything surprise you in today's passage? Maybe that there were no palms? That there were no hosannas? Sometimes we think we know what the story is, and we think, I can think about something else, and we miss the uniqueness of the gospel story right in front of us. Does anyone else have a lot of things to do this week? I've already been thinking today about my to-do list just for tomorrow, and that's before I even get into Thursday and Friday, and 6 a.m. has got to be very early for me on Sunday morning next week. So I invite you, as you hold this palm, to be thinking about what it is that is a roadblock for you to be able to fully hear the Passion story, to experience it, and have it live within you this morning. And as you think about each of those, I encourage you to actually touch one specific leaf and go down. And once you have finished listing yours in your head and touching those leaves, hand it to someone who has not had a palm branch yet. You take your time. There's no rush on this. We're going to have a moment to do this in silence till everyone has a chance to hold a palm branch and to be able to touch the things that it is that is stopping us today. Perhaps it is individual worries. Perhaps we're thinking about what our stock portfolio looked like, or perhaps we're worried about other events in the world and the concern and fear of others. There are all these things that we are carrying with us. Yet in the story, we heard the people lay their cloaks down. This is our chance to lay some of that down just for an hour so we can hear and live and go out transformed. So I made this time to touch those leaves, share the palm branches, and once everyone's done that, we'll go through the next step together. Has everyone had the opportunity to hold a palm branch? You know, we know from the other stories that the palm branches are laid down to make the road. We had in our scripture today that the cloaks were laid down to prepare for Christ. I'm not going to ask anyone to take off a jacket or anything else this morning. But we are going to use these palm branches that where if you are currently holding a palm branch, in a moment I will ask you to stand up, and if the stairs or something is trouble for you, I invite you to hand it to someone else. And for us to lay these down here at the table to show that we are laying down what is prohibiting us from entering into worship this morning. And to be able to hear this story, even a common story, to hear it in a new way with a new lens. So if you are holding a palm branch, I invite you to bring it forward and to lay it in front of the table.